Hello, my friend. You asked me to tell you how an egocentric person can change for the better and become more altruistic. Well, the first port of call is to ask yourself what you mean by egocentricity and whether perhaps it is necessary for you to be egocentric for the moment. So, some of us, if we don't get the right attention and we never learn to look after ourselves, need to develop a large amount of self care and therefore a kind of egocentricity in order to be able to be self sufficient and to look after our own interests. Otherwise, we might end up being stepped on by other people, or fooled by other people, or taken over by other people. So, learning to look after yourself is actually a very important skill to acquire, and this may carry on for a long time. It may be that in later life, if you lose a partnership, for instance, you have to relearn to do self care, to be self sufficient, and to be egocentric enough to look after yourself. But of course, if you become too self focused and you lose the capacity for focusing elsewhere, then we've got a problem. So if you always put yourself first, you might say that is more like being egoistic or being an egotist. It means that you think the world owes you something and that you can have the first choice in everything and you can always just follow what is good for you rather than for other people. Now, that is a problem. It means that you think you can fill up the world and you don't have to worry about other people. And of course, that's never true. One of the tasks in life is for us to learn to be fair with each other and to attend as much to the other as we expect the other to attend to ourselves. And if we can't do that, if we can't have this to and fro, this exchange between us, that becomes a problem. We become isolated and people don't like us anymore because they perceive us as dangerous and as standing in the way of their self-interest. So there is also narcissism, which is those people who need the admiration of other people and who believe that they are so special and so different that they can require this kind of admiration and this adoration even, then we are in a very different story altogether. We embark on a situation where the person may be completely blind to the needs of other people and so preoccupied with self that there is no real social world anymore. There is no true exchange and no true interest in others and no empathetic care for the other. So, if that were the case and you would want to change that, then you may want to do one of the following things. You might want to get into a relationship where you will be very often frustrated, feeling that the other isn't paying you enough attention, but learning gradually over the years that there is room for both people in the relationship, and that the more you open your mind to the other and the more you give them the benefit of the doubt, and the better it is for you too. So that's a learning process. You can make that easier by also forcing yourself to pay more attention to family members, for instance, and to think about ways in which you can help them or support them. And you might also train for a caring job or some kind of position helping charities where you help other people to with the things that they need. So that could take many different guises. It could be looking after people with certain disabilities, or it could be raising money for people who are in need in some way or another. Many, many options to challenge yourself to become more altruistic and more caring, truly caring of other people. Of course, you could also go into group therapy and learn to actually teach yourself to remove yourself from your own perspective and imagine for each other member in the group what their perspective on a particular event might be. It's very interesting to find out how different people in a group always have different perspectives on the same events, on the same experiences, and how each of us, because of our background, have a different interpretation, a different awareness, a different sense of everything. So the more we can exchange about that, and the more we can listen to each other to understand what their perspective is rather than my own perspective, the more flexible we will become. So it's never a question of stopping being egocentric or even egoistic or even a little bit narcissistic, for all those things are good to the extent that we can also do the other thing. If we can also have empathy, we can also think about the perspective of the other, we can also contribute something to others, we can also seek justice for all, we can also pursue equality and fairness, and generally be generous with other people, kind to other people, and willing to see how we can be better with them rather than contenting ourselves with being self-sufficient. So much to learn about that whole area of relationships. Don't set the standard too high. If you are self-sufficient, that's pretty good. That's a good start. So acquire some of those other facilities gradually over the years. And never forget that you do need to love yourself before you can learn to love other people or to take care of them. So take care of yourself and trust yourself to be able to open your heart to make room for other people as well. It's not easy and it can be very frustrating. You're not the only one who finds it difficult to be close to other people. But it's worth it. Keep trying. Bye bye, my friend.